This is John King. I'm speaking with John Wicks, drummer for Fitz and the Tantrums. And I've also got in the studio Paul Donaldson from the Missoula Sound Machine. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Thanks very much.
I wanted to kind of get a little bit of education from you on what Missoula Sound Machine is.
Well, it's an organization that's designed to create opportunities for Missoulians to experience world-class musicians on a more personal level, and also for touring musicians to learn a little bit about Missoula. With the idea that there's a lot to be learned in the industry that you can't find on YouTube or in schools. And John here is a great bridge there, because not only is he a world-class musician, but he's also a Missoulian and a father with kids in the Missoula County Public Schools, and it has an excellent sort of idea of all the different aspects that it takes to be a professional musician.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, Paul. Watching your kid in band or whatever they're doing in school, music and the arts here in Missoula, what can we learn from outside, and what do you think Missoula can share with others?
Well, from my perspective, I can tell you from my own experience, touring with Fitz and the Tantrums, it was a tough fight to get routed through Missoula, because it's frankly geographically challenged. It's tough to get the bus routed through here, even though we have world-class venues like the Wilma and the Top Hat, the Adams Center. It's tough. So finally, 2 years ago, I finally was able to convince William Morris, our booking agent, to get us a show at the Wilma. It sold out like nothing flat. It was great. It was my wife's birthday. She got to come down and celebrate. But more than that, it was interesting because I'd been talking about Missoula to all my bandmates, and they all have this, I think they all had a mental picture of what it was really going to be like. And when they came here and saw how, frankly, progressive and modern it is and how responsive the crowd was, they were pretty blown away by it in general. And then they kind of, the light went on and they said, okay, now we get why you live here. Because it was kind of a shock when I decided to move from LA back to Montana with my family. They were just like, what the heck are you thinking? I had a good thing going in LA. I was doing lots of session work. The band blew up. But the quality of life here is tough to beat. So it was, more than anything, it was great to expose them to that. And I'm hoping now that Nick at the Top Hat and now the Wilma has done such a beautiful job of remodeling those venues and making them viable, that more and more top quality bands will be routed through here.
Let's talk about that issue with the buses and the flights. Missoula is a hard place to get in and out of, as you mentioned, geographically challenged. Is that changed in your experience, or is it still hard to get the scheduling right?
I think a big part of it, honestly, from this is just my opinion, I think a lot of it was just the venues. We have the college here. We have, and now we have rooms that are up to date, sound-wise. And just generally, they're just beautiful venues now. I don't know if you've been in the Wilma since it's been remodeled, but it's gorgeous.
It is nice, yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just kind of upping the game a little bit, and so that you're able to get these artists that normally would pass it by. I think now we'll have to take a second glance at it.
So, Paul, I wanted to ask you a little bit about what is coming up in the near future for Sound Machine. I understand you have some kind of event going on early March, right?
Yeah, correct. March 1st at the Top Hat at 6 o'clock. And John's going to be sort of doing a clinic/performance where he, sort of opens up the floor to encourage people to ask some questions that you can't find answers to online, especially some folks who are interested in becoming a musician.
So is it free? Is it cost? Is it specifically for children of certain age groups? Tell us a little bit.
All ages, and it's free, and certainly encourage you to bring your whole family.
And as far as going forward, what's next on the pipeline? Do you have other guests scheduled, other events at other locales? Are you going to go into the schools?
Not yet. This is the first one, and John's been gracious enough to sort of help us launch this idea. And, I also work in the production end of the music industry and get an opportunity to see a lot of these musicians who sort of come through. And a lot of times there's this period of time during the day where they, are fly fishing or shopping and getting a bite to eat or something like that. And I want to create an opportunity for them to come in and do clinics, kind of like John does with Guitar Center and stuff when he's on the road with Fitz and the Tantrums. And
very cool. Final question. Have you gotten any feedback from, there's organizations out there that their entire goal in life is to get people to come to Missoula, whether that be through tourism or to invite new business or the city council, for crying out loud, or the governor. I mean, are you working in tandem with any of these organizations to try to get more, or personalities to try to get this influence spread a little bit?
Well, we've reached out to Montana Tourism, and there's definitely an interest there, and I think they want to see how this first event goes on. So we're sort of encouraging people to attend this, and we'll go from there.
I can tell you from a musician's perspective, having someone like Paul organizing this, who is in the industry and sees and is communicative with the musicians on stage. I mean, he's rigging, the stages, and is familiar with how touring works. For me as a musician, and I think I can speak for other musicians as well, I would be more readily available to someone like that, I think, than I would be if it was a tourism agency calling us or something like that. This to me seems more real.
Because you can trust the quality of his sound,
I think
or
so.
his ability with the stage, or
no, it's more just on a personal level. I think having someone like him who has been there and sort of walks the walk as well as talks the talk, and expresses a need and is able to articulate exactly what that need is to someone like myself or any other musicians, makes a big difference. So whether he becomes the official liaison, or which would be amazing, or not, but somebody with that experience and that personality makes a big difference. So I would say to tourism agencies or the governor or anyone, hit this man up, hit people that are experienced, and can act that way because or speak that way to musicians and all the other professionals, because not only can he speak to a musician on a musician's level, but also there's tons of other jobs in this industry besides just playing the drums or doing, he's a perfect example of someone that's done really, really well in this industry as a rigger, and people don't even think of that when they just think it magically appears the stage.
I don't even know what that means. I think of pirates.
Yeah, right. And it is kind of, in a way, these guys are swinging from the mast up there, I'm telling you. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities in this industry other than just trying to break in as a musician. So
very cool.
Yeah.
John, Paul, Ringo, wherever you are, thanks for coming into the show today.
Thanks,
man.
Appreciate it.